we've got stop motion as one of the oldest crafts in cinema, fusing with some of the absolute latest cutting-edge production technology, and I think it's a lovely harmony. And so we do use every toy in the toy box, that's for sure. The time it takes for us to actually make it probably is about a 5-year process. It's a massive team effort to get a film like this.
In a good week, we might hit a minute of film.
Yeah.
And that's good going.
Good going.
That's sailing, that is cruising. Yeah. We hit the ground running in this film with, Wallace is an inventor, of course, but in this film, Wallace's inventions are really starting to get to Gromit, and they're starting to come between them in their relationship.
Yeah.
That's it, lad. My new Patomatic will oblige. And if you think that's progress, wait till you see the next thing I'm working on.
And there's just this idea that there's, what if Wallace invented a smart gnome to help Gromit, and it's really because it just offered lots of potential for story and gags and drama and all the elements we're always after.
When we set out on Vengeance Most Fowl, one of the key things we talked about was trying to make it in quite a traditional way so that it reflected how we would have maybe made Wrong Trousers, because there's already that link in the story. But at Aardman, we've done a lot of films now since Wrong Trousers and tried lots of different techniques. And I feel like we've had an opportunity on Vengeance Most Fowl to choose the best pieces of all those other films and try and bring them together.
No matter how big it's got and how much more complicated things may be, we've really tried to maintain on this production that initial feeling we used to have on the Wrong Trousers. Unfortunately, I think we've done incredibly well in keeping that all together, as well as adding extra effects that we can do digitally. But keeping that spirit alive has always been a major point for me.
Cracking toast, Gromit.
Part and parcel of the process that we have in animation, though, we problem solve ahead by storyboarding. So once you have the script, the directors then take that and put it into an animatic, which is really detailed. It's effectively the film in sort of like a hand-drawn version.
We do a rough soundtrack with our scratch voices on it and scratch music, and just to get a feel for the shape of everything. We're effectively making the film before we start filming because we can't afford to do more takes,
That information gets locked down, and it's our templates for the film. And all of the different teams that need to get involved to make the film can start looking at the animatic. And so the art department will start to know, we need wide vistas, we need interior shots, we need certain props and elements to build this location. It's not in the film much, but I do love the interior of the submarine. It's a beautiful little set piece, and we're only there fleetingly, but the care and attention and detail is absolutely exquisite.
Stop motion sets have a whole load of different things we have to design in. So right from the beginning in mock-up stage, we've planned how this set is going to come apart so that we can get animators in there.
Well, I think Matt Perry and the art team, they're always thinking about efficient ways to do things. So here in this scene, we've got the Norbots who are all busy in the background working away in the sub. And then when we come to shoot it, we will start taking bits apart. We'll quite often shoot one side, then another, and then the ones at the back, and they'll all be put together in layers. But it does allow the animator just to focus a bit more on that key performance. So yes, the sort of modular way it's made is really helpful for us.
Then the puppets that go in it. Which characters is it? How many characters is it? So the puppet department need to know, oh my goodness, we need 15 Norbots for that shot.
Over the course of this film, I've probably made about 176 puppets. That's, obviously my team. We've got a lot more tools available to us, like 3D printing and better materials. So I did work with Nick and Merlin to kind of, so maybe just slightly update them and tweak them a little bit, because we were going to build them in a whole new way as well. One of the things that makes all the puppets work is these ball and socket joints. So this is what's inside our Norbot here, and the puppet needs to be able to be moved in a very controlled way, so that every time you move it, it stays put to where you've left it, because it's our job to make the puppets very user-friendly, so that it makes it smoother on the studio floor, makes it easier for the animators.
And all the characters, the heads and hands, the expressive bits are clay, or even if they're clothes, they're probably moulded from an original clay model, even if they're now made of silicon sometimes. Yeah. But to keep that's also the heart and soul of Wallace and Gromit, that it remains authentic and
handcrafted,
handmade, handcrafted. Yeah.
Like Gromit, here he is in his biker's outfit. So we put in the fingerprints. So that would be the sculptor would do that, or sometimes it would be the mold maker as well, might just put a few in, and then the animator would be then sculpting that on the set, so then they'd leave their fingerprints on it. There's such a tendency for some people to keep everything, try and smooth everything down and make it all perfect. And then we just have to say, no, keep it all thummy, as we say. Keep it thummy.
And it makes it feel, I think, when you watch it, somehow it connects you with it. You know it's organic and it's real. Nick Park personally pushes one fingerprint into each puppet that's made before the film, and then the rest of the team work on top of that. That's not actually true. He does, Nick loves to get his hands on things, and so we have a few talking characters, and Wallace being the most famous of them. And his whole mouth set, in fact, was developed over years with Nick. And the mouth sets comprise of about sort of 12 to 16 different shapes, different phonetic shapes, but always the dialogue comes first, and that's the bit that then gets brought here, and we break it down into phonetic sounds, so the animators can then just listen through frame by frame and hear the specific shapes.
I'm live outside the West Wallaby Street house of the evil inventor, Mr. Wallace.
Evil?
It's one of the great bits is choosing the voices for your characters, and we've had an amazing cast. Of course, we've got Ben Whitehead playing Wallace. We've got Peter Kay back as he was PC Macintosh in Curse of the Were Rabbit.
Been promoted.
Yeah, been promoted.
Yeah.
And he's training up a younger police cadet called PC Mukherjee, played by Lauren Patel.
Yeah.
She's excellent.
And then Rhys Shearsmith.
And Rhys Shearsmith
as Norbot.
Yeah.
And the process is quite abstract, because we don't have much to show them when we first start working with them.
But the note was more eccentric, so
Okay.
go for it.
Okay. Get me up, Gromit.
And then we do use their vocal performance as a springboard for the physical performance that the animators then bring later on in the process. And you need to think of the animators as actors, really. They are our performers. And we rehearse with the use of live action. So we will go into our live action video booth, the lav. I think we do every single shot we have done in the lav. So you could probably make the whole film with Nick or I performing the film. It would be weird, but it is possible. And yeah, it's kind of a fundamental key tool for us to talk about the performance of the characters with the animators. I ride a motorcycle to work every day, so I kind of understand how a motorcycle works. And so we didn't lav it, but we went outside with the animator and got to sit on a motorbike, just so they can feel what it feels like to have that pose. Because that knowledge of how your own body does something is really important to translate into the body of the puppet.
Because it's one thing being able to just animate a puppet, make a puppet move around the set in a vaguely human way, but it's another thing making it seem like the puppet has its own life.
Yeah.
And is living and breathing and has a soul. And
that's the gold, really, isn't it?
Yeah. That's the real skill. Yeah.
Feathers has been possibly the biggest challenge. You know, a character that's so iconic and has lived, you know, in people's memories for so long.
People have been saying for a long time, oh, when are you going to bring back Feathers? And never really found the right place for it. And this seemed like the perfect opportunity. Yeah. It was really to solve a big story issue, a story problem that we were having. With the original story was just about Wallace inventing these mechanical, like smart gnomes, and how they go wrong and cause trouble. But there was always a problem in like what's motivating them, and you know, where are they coming from, and so it was like a lightning strike, really.
Part of like what makes him so amazing as a character is the fact that he's a penguin, he's a master criminal. He's disguised himself as a chicken with a rubber glove. Like, it's all so bonkers that he shouldn't be villainous, but the way Nick sort of has created that character, and Merlin, maybe it's like the lack of pupils, the sort of cold, dead eyes. They're not dead, they've even got like a sparkling, like you know he's thinking, and that comes across in the animation.
Of course, when we first see him in this film, we can switch into our sort of film noir mode. I mean, when we first see him in the prison there.
Where he's incarcerated in the penguin enclosure. It's beautiful. Yeah, and it's also beautifully lit, you know, by Dave, Alex and the light and camera team.
Yeah. I mean, I love lighting the penguin. I mean, it's such a simple shape. And basically you want to light that inner darkness. And say in the prison there, I've just used the moonlight, blue moonlight on one side and a yellow candle light flickering on the other side, which helps create, it gets the shape of the penguin. But then is the eyes, those beautiful eyes, which are little beads really. And it's just getting them to catch the light just right, that little glint, so you know there's some malevolent thoughts going on inside that little creature. The beauty of any Wallace and Gromit film is the fact, because we have to create our own reality, it's sort of based on a love of cinema, I would say, because we reference all sorts of genres. I mean, Nick's very good at what I call genre hopping, that we can go from a sort of Ealing comedy look to sort of a Hammer horror, to Hitchcockian suspense.
It is quintessentially English, but it is cinematic. But I think it's embracing genres. When we go dark for Feathers and things, it's as dark as Hitchcock would have gone.
Well, it always, the earlier Wallace and Gromit were always very referential. So there was, moments from Brief Encounter or Hitchcock. So at that time, we would sort of kind of imitate that style of music. So in another film, A Wrong Trousers, we have the thriller bits. It was very much the Herman type music, which we're using returns a bit in this film. Yeah.
There's a lot of techniques that hark back to Wrong Trousers. The everlasting corridor, which we'll use a lot in the train chase sequence in Wrong Trousers, we've used that a couple of times in this film, particularly in the bathroom sequence, to basically build a very, very long corridor. And then you can actually loop it and go on forever. Things we can add to that nowadays, we can embellish the effects work in there, the soap suds in the bath, we can have rigs in there which we could remove afterwards. So there's all sorts of ways we've utilised the modern technology, but still going back to some of the tried and tested techniques. Or people seem excited, when there's a new Wallace and Gromit film, because I know they do want to enter that world, as we did when we started filming it again. And they're like old friends. I mean, they really are old friends, and people love to come back and see what they're doing and feel part of it.
And then, of course, you've got the animation, and the whole hand-felt charm of it all has culminated in these shots that ultimately, I think, are going to stand the test of time, and everyone's going to love. Yeah, it's a great feeling.
I have to pinch myself sometimes to think that they're still on telly. Even my first student film is still regularly on telly. Yeah. And
people say, "Oh, Wallace Gromit, I watched that at Christmas." It's part of that sentence that, and we're just delighted that we can continue that with Vengeance Most Fowl. It feels like the right place to be. Cheers.
Cheers, mate. Cheers, me old pal.
Cheers, me old pal.